All right, let's dive into something really different today. We're looking at a creative pitch for a world where the big bad guy isn't some monster, it's existence itself. Yeah, you heard that right. This is Dare Will.
Just get a load of this logline. It's a lot in the best way possible. We're talking about a universe run by this blind, pointless force that just creates suffering for the heck of it. And humanity's last survivors, they're fighting back against total despair by literally weaponizing philosophy. I mean, how cool is that?
So, that brings us to the core question of this whole thing. What if the real enemy, the ultimate villain, wasn't some evil mastermind, but just reality? It completely flips the script, right? This isn't about good guys versus bad guys. It's about conscious minds trying to make sense of a universe that, frankly, couldn't care less. Okay, so this next part is key. The creators make it really clear that this isn't just a single story. They're pitching it as a whole world, a narrative engine, which is a fancy way of saying it's built to tell tons of stories. And all of them tackle those big scary questions we all have, Like, what's the point? Or is any of this real? It's a modern mythology, built straight out of a philosophy textbook.
And this whole world rests on three awesome pillars. First up, you've got the metaphysical engine. That's the idea that the universe itself is the antagonist. Then, my personal favorite, weaponized philosophy. Ideas aren't just ideas here, they are actual, functional weapons. And finally, the whole look and feel is what they call the sublime. It's designed to be both beautiful and absolutely terrifying at the same time.
All right, so to really get how this all works, we need to talk about the rules of this reality. Forget everything you know about physics. The rulebook for this universe wasn't written by Einstein, it was written by the 19th century philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. Yeah, it's about to get deep.
So at the center of this universe is this thing called the will. And it's not a person, not a god, not evil. Think of it like a cosmic hunger. It's just this blind, irrational force that makes everything, strive. It just wants to keep going, creating and consuming with absolutely no rhyme or reason. It's pure, chaotic energy.
And this is where it gets really clever for storytelling. Because the will is blind, there's no karma, no grand plan. Because it's all about striving. Suffering isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's the default setting of life. But here's the kicker, the part that's truly horrifying. Even your own thoughts aren't yours. Your brain is just a clever machine that the will uses to justify its own primal urges. You're not making choices, you're just inventing reasons for the things the will already made you want.
So let that sink in. The bad guy isn't a monster you can kill, it's the very fabric of life. It's the operating system of the universe. So, what do? How on earth do you fight that?
Well, that terrifying reality pushes humanity to a breaking point. If the universe doesn't give you a reason to live, you have to make one up. And that, right there, is where the central conflict kicks off. A brutal war over what that meaning should be.
So humanity splits into two main factions. You've got the passive nihilists, who are basically Team Schopenhauer. They look at this awful, meaningless universe and say, you know what, the only winning move is not to play, let's just end the suffering and find some peace. But then you have the active nihilists, who are Team Nietzsche. They see the same meaningless void and say, an empty canvas? Perfect. Now we can paint our own meaning onto it, and we'll do it with sheer force of will.
Okay, so you've got this incredible world, this epic ideological war. But how does that translate into a character? Well, meet the central figure, who isn't just a guy. He's described as a living philosophy. His very being is an argument about how reality works.
And his backstory is awesome. It's got these layers of myth and reality. The public story, the legend, is that he was some rich baron who tried a crazy philosophical ritual to become a god. But the declassified truth, the real story, he was part of a top-secret Cold War-era metaphysical super soldier program. And, you guessed it, the experiment was a total disaster.
So this poor guy, a brilliant professor, was hooked up to this experiment. The goal was to turn him into like a super soldier of pure logic. But the whole thing was sabotaged. It completely broke his mind. But in the process, it fused his consciousness with this powerful cosmic force called the spirit of negation. What came out was this fractured, broken hero, who is also one of the most powerful beings in existence.
All right, now for the really fun part. Let's talk about his powers, because we're not talking about laser eyes or flying. His abilities are literally philosophical arguments turned into weapons.
Okay, check this out.
His main weapon is called the schizostaff, and it's basically the Hegelian dialectic in physical form. So, one end of the staff creates stuff from nothing. That's the thesis. The other end deletes stuff from existence. That's the antithesis. And when he smashes them together on the ground, boom, synthesis. It sends out a shockwave that completely rewrites the logic of the battlefield. Insane.
Then he's got this thing called the Kantian edge, and this might be even crazier. It's a blade made of pure logic. It doesn't cut physical things, it cuts the ideas that hold things together. It's like a scalpel that operates on the source code of reality. Just think about what you could do with that. He can literally cut the connection between a boulder and gravity, and poof, it just floats away. Or even better, he can sever the link between a bad guy and his own superpowers. Suddenly, they're just a regular person. He can even cut the truth of a wall, basically telling reality, this wall isn't here, and then just walk right through it.
And it goes deeper still. This next power is based on the philosopher Heidegger, who said that language is the house of being. So our hero can inscribe these runes, which are like the true names for concepts. And when he does, he's not casting a magic spell. He is directly editing reality, like a programmer changing the code of a video game.
So for example, if he writes the rune for stillness, it doesn't just freeze things. It imposes the absolute philosophical idea of stillness on that area. All motion, all kinetic energy just stops. The pitch has a great term for this. It's not magic, it's an ontological command. He's giving a direct order to reality, and reality has to obey.
So when you put all this together, what do you get? You get a world that operates on a completely different level. It has its own logic, and it's totally consistent. This is a place where the most devastating weapon isn't a nuke, it's a perfectly formed philosophical argument.
And that brings us back to our hero, Wille. He's not just playing the game, he is the game. The pitch even calls him a new take on Nietzsche's Übermensch, the ultimate being who has mastered the rules of his reality because he is, quite literally, those rules made into a person.
And in the end, that's the whole point of this pitch, isn't it? It builds this huge, complex, terrifying world, really just to hold up a mirror to us. It puts us in the same boat as the characters and leaves us with that same massive question. In a universe that doesn't care about you, in a world without any built-in meaning, how do you choose to live?